right, it is a new year, and I am on the Salsa Blackthorn 145. Got 160 millimeter travel up front, 145 in the rear. New view on this trail. Yeah, Salsa Blackthorn. Do it all 160 millimeter forked bike with pretty fun geometry. Got a super tight little chainstay on this guy in the low 430s. Pretty long reach, like a 489 in the low setting. Yeah, super easy to tuck that rear end around tighter corners. Pretty sprightly feeling upright climber too. This bike's got a very steep feeling C-tube angle. It's like north of 77 degrees, but the actual felt sensation of this bike, it's like very forward seat position, even in the context of modern bikes, which is probably a good move to combat that super short chainstay. Just keep the weight distribution dialed. I really like that move. You got the long up front, short in the rear going on with this bike, which is a geometry setup that I'm typically very fond of. Just keeps bikes really manageable feeling, a little bit more on the active, rider centric, less of a hang-on bike and more of a, you're wanting to stay in control of the bike kind of geometry. Bike comes with quite a few extra mounts and this built-in frame strap, so it's got kind of that Salsa bike pack ability, which hard to get through the climb portion without starting to talk about the tire spec on this bike. You got these terrible tires, like a 29 by 2.5, but they really ride and maybe even appear more like a 29 by 2.6 inch tire. So it's got kind of like a high volume, eating the terrain more and a little bit bouncier, especially now that temps are rising in the Northwest. Yeah, I feel like for the amount of wheelbase this bike has with that pretty substantial reach, the rear end is just like, feels like it's right between your ankles. So this is just a perfect bike for those kind of national forest or European style switchbacks. Just easy to maneuver this bike underneath you. Yeah, I really love the upright seated position. Like, I'm always a slam the seat forward on the rails kind of guy, and this bike I could see myself coming back a little bit. I had an experience first time climbing this bike that rear end, kind of like going over rollers, stays very sprung feeling and active. Like, we got a pretty high leverage ratio on the shock, and I think the new RockShox damping can be open so fast that I've actually slowed that shock down. It might also because of these Clifty tires being a higher volume. Got kind of a bit of the basketball bounce going. Keep the bike a little bit more muted. Even climbing, I've added some rebound damping. But it's definitely a bike that can be run with a really poppy fast rebound with that RockShox tune, and feels like a pretty high leverage ratio. Yeah, as far as pedaling kinematic, I feel like 145 mils of travel, rear travel these days, like, isn't too much to have to calm down, but this bike has that kind of go under pedaling feel. You're not sinking into the rear suspension. I almost feel like the weight distribution with that very upright feeling seat angle just keeps your weight a little bit farther forward too. yeah, it's a good feeling bike to put the power down on. Feels efficient. Feels like it would be the right bike to choose for a massive bike packing adventure with just like the frame storage and also if you don't have bags, just to put, it's kind of in that perfect travel category of go do a 6,000 foot elevation day, go do a 20-30 miler in the backcountry. But anyway, stoked to try this thing out on the descent today. All right, dropping in. Woo! Flinging some mud. Glad this bike shipped with a front fender. Really love when they do that. Can always put the fenders to use out here. Yeah, it feels good on pedaling out of the saddle. It's funny, you can feel that longer reach once you get out of that saddle. Now I can feel the 189 in front of me. Really love that they spec'd these Maven brakes on this bike. Eee. Looks like we got some rain last night. But yeah, these brakes pack some serious power. Super nice to see them getting spec'd on these, mid-travel bikes. Yee. Yeah, this bike is very zesty and easy to manipulate in the air. I mean, at 432 chainstay? That's like some of the shorter chainstays you're gonna find on a 29er. Pretty easy to pop, pull the bike up. Really just, obviously super easy to keep tabs on that rear wheel. And my first day on these tires, they felt a little bit more kind of basketball in the drier soil, but honestly in the more hero dirt, they feel a little bit more settled. The dirt's just eating a bit of energy. Yee. Super fun to kind of throw this bike over in the air. Just really easy to manipulate underneath you for some reason. Nice pumper too. This bike definitely loves to pump. I think just that 145 travel, that rear end is just a lot more supportive. Dropping in on pump track now. Should be a very nice fit for this bike. Yeah, these tires feel a little bit more at home on the little wetter dirt actually. Yeah, super nice to pump this bike. Easy to just pull it up. It's a pretty lightweight bike. It's a fairly stiff frame. You got that cross brace in the front triangle, and then just not a lot of rear end to flex around. So definitely a frame that is more sure-footed, stiffer. You're not feeling too much flex around you. So it's all right that these tires are eating a little bit more of the energy from that standpoint. Yeah, while the head tube angle at sub 64 degrees and the reach, being very long are, more stabilizing factors, I would not call this bike on the planted side of the spectrum. This is far more on the playful side, which is definitely my preference as a rider with lots of years under my belt. I don't need a bike to make me feel too planted and secure. So this kind of bike, super fun. Yee! Pumps really well. I love just being able to keep tabs on that rear end. Springtime conditions. These bars, these Salsa handlebars are fairly compliant. I feel like they're eating up some energy which is kind of nice on a, you know, bike of this travel. I like a little compliance. Yeah, really fun bike to just search for speed. Like, just really rewards with that tighter rear travel, short chainstay. Rewards just like the pump factor. Looks like we got some trail work to look out for today, but as far as components on this bike, just really love to see the new RockShox kit, Lyric with buttercups, new damper, just amazing, so fast and fluttery. And the Maven brakes, so cool to see that on a slightly smaller bike. But yeah, you got the transmission shifting, super solid. Yeah, the tires, they're much more settled today on the wetter dirt, but definitely had issues with those, just feeling a little too high volume for my taste. The terrible Clifties. So I think a different tire spec could certainly help this bike, but it all just depends on where you're riding and the speeds you're going. But yeah, as far as my final thoughts on this bike, just a super zesty trail bike, really killer travel category for riding mountains like here at Galbraith. Very capable, stable feeling bike that is way more on the playful, manageable, pumpy side of things, which with bikes just getting longer, slacker, maybe we've hit peak long and slack, I'm just loving it. But I tend to like bikes with tighter chainstays. So that is my bias, but it's good to have flavors. This thing feels just really playful. The more time I get onto it, the more kind of like on attack I can be. And I think if I were to swap this out for my favorite tires, I would really be on attack. So, but yeah, if you like this review, consider subscribing to the YouTube channel. And for the full write-up, it's already up on freehub.com.